Idaho and West Virginia's bans on male athletes in girls' sports is being challenged. Liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor didn't hide how she feels about it when questioning attorney Alan Michael Hurst, representing the state of Idaho.
How about VMI? That distinction doesn't make any sense to me. It's still an exception. It's a subclass of people who are covered by the law and others are not. That's what we said.
The VMI case is the flip side of Idaho's law. The VMI case, equal opportunity required letting women in to previously single-sex spaces. In this case, equal opportunity for women requires giving women separate spaces, and VMI said that was okay. VMI said separate housing.
That's begging the very question at issue here. You can have a sex classification based on sex. You just have to have a reason for it and one that matches your exclusion. What you're trying to say is we don't even look at the reason to see if it has a scientific basis.
Women's advocate Riley Gaines is in the courtroom today and says it is irritating to even have to argue for basic biology.
This day is exciting. It is long overdue, but truthfully, I'm irritated. I'm irritated that we have to be here at all. Let me be very, very clear on what the Supreme Court is going to be hearing today. They're not going to be hearing oral arguments on if states must allow women to have sex-based rights and equality. That's not what they're hearing. They're deciding on if states even can allow for women to have rights. We are fighting for the bare minimum, it seems, here.
As the chaos continues in Minneapolis, Democrats are doubling down on their anti-law enforcement rhetoric.
Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car, peacefully waving cars to get by.
Anybody can see that this victim is not a domestic terrorist.
Fox News contributor Lisa Booth says these protesters and Democrats don't want immigration enforcement. But who is it they want to protect so badly?
This is what they're defending. Our own Bill Malhusian tweeted out a list that ICE put out of some of the individuals that they have captured in this surge in Minneapolis. And we are talking about dozens of the worst, convicted child rapists, sodomizers, plus 10 killers. We're talking about one individual, sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under 13 years old. Another individual, rape of a 12-year-old and kidnapping. Another individual, homicide. Another 3 counts of homicide. So why exactly are these individuals protecting these killers, these sodomizers, and these child rapists? And why is Minnesota giving them sanctuary? It's disgusting.
And the mainstream media outlets are picking up the left's outrage when talking about the tragic shooting of a Minneapolis protester who attacked an ICE officer. But where is that outrage when criminal illegal aliens brutally murder innocent Americans?
Over the weekend, the Sunday news shows all took a look at the shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent who was allegedly struck by Good's car during a protest. MS Now's The Weekend had Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley in studio, where at least twice she called the shooting a brutal murder, without a hint of journalistic objectivity from host Jonathan Capehart.
ICE's murder of Renee Good in broad daylight is horrific and unacceptable. Her brutal murder.
But all throughout the Biden administration, criminal illegal aliens were caught brutally murdering American citizens. And MRC TV host Brittany Hughes says the outrage was noticeably missing.
But we're not seeing similar outrage over the pile of bodies. I mean, Lake and Riley, Jocelyn Nungarek, you couldn't even find these names until conservative media started making a big deal out of it and forcing some places, at least some outlets, to mention it.
She says the silence is deafening.
We're seeing story after story after story of criminal aliens in this country committing some of these most horrific crimes, and there's almost zero coverage of it at all.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello everyone, Tim Wildmon here. We've got some great tours lined up for 2026. Washington, D.C., George Washington's Mount Vernon, Colonial Williamsburg, historic Jamestown, Boston, Massachusetts, and that greater area. So much to see and do in 2026. If you want information on any of these trips, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we'll see you on one of our tours in 2026.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Today is Tuesday, January the 13th, 2026. And joining me in studio is Wesley Wildmon. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
Chris Woodward.
Good morning.
And Ray Pritchard's in Florida. How you doing, Ray?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Good. You're glad you became a snowbird now, looking at January?
Sir. It's, just this last weekend, we were up in Chicago, and it was like going back to visit Siberia. Saw a lot of my friends, but I'm telling you,
right.
I turned to Marlene and said, we got to go. We got to get back to Florida.
Right,
I am freezing. So, yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, no regrets.
I hear you, brother. Well, this is January. It's coldest month everywhere.
Yeah.
Coldest
Except
month.
maybe for February.
Maybe for February. Yeah, we'll have to see what February holds. But anyway, so Wesley, you moved on from your deer hunting to the turkey hunting now?
For the most part, I moved on from deer hunting, but we got a little bit of a gap, so I got to fill it in with some baseball.
Baseball?
Yeah, we got
January?
Well, we'll be indoors a lot.
Oh, your team you're coaching?
Yeah, the team I coach. So as far as entertainment activity goes, my next activity outside of work is going to be coaching some baseball.
But when is turkey hunting?
That's in March.
How long does that last?
6 weeks.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Wish it was 8 or 9
or 10.
Oh,
you wished it was longer?
A little longer, yeah.
Now, you used to not, you didn't turkey hunt. Turkey hunt takes a lot of patience, doesn't it?
Well, not really. It's the other way around. Deer hunting's causes a little bit more. Well, it just depends on where you're hunting because some places have more turkeys than others. But as far as the difference is, deer hunting, for the most part, you have to be more still, quiet, and concerned about the wind, whereas turkey, you can be a little bit more active. You can move a little more, and you can.
I've just always heard turkeys are smart and they're hard to kill.
They are, but as far as patience goes, I think all hunting requires a good amount of patience. But yeah, we're looking forward to that in the spring. But right now, turning my attention to some baseball.
I got you. Getting ready for baseball season. It'll be warm in baseball season.
I guess, Wesley, the real question is, how are things looking in the transfer portal? Are you working on your NIL?
Yeah, for your 10-year-olds.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah. I know you're joking, but unfortunately, in our Northeast Mississippi, there's a Facebook page for kids travel ball transferring portal.
No.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Their demands are Takis.
Yeah, but
sports drinks.
Now, you can make fun of it if you want to, but I am the agent for these kids.
That's right.
And I'm looking for money.
They deserve to be paid.
They deserve to be paid. Name, image, likeness, baby.
Hey, in all seriousness, I don't believe in that, and so we don't do that. I've had the same team since they were 6 years old. They're 10 years old. And we enjoy that. We've had a couple people that's moved on for different reasons, but nothing, no hard feelings or anything like that. But
no trading.
No trading.
Okay.
I've got
trading.
8 guys. I've been coaching them since they were 6 years old. So
win, lose or draw.
Win, lose or draw.
We take it.
Hey, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Taking us off topic here. Dr. Ray, there. Where are you located? I know you're in Florida, but you got a beautiful background there coming out for the new year.
Well, we are. I'm at Word of Life, Florida, which is about 500-acre place, which is about 20 miles north of Tampa. There's Spring Hill, there's Newport Richey, and then there's a town called Hudson. We're about 9 miles away from the Gulf, and this is high season down here in Florida, January and February. Bible conference season just started here at Word of Life, Florida, so they're about. When we got here in November, there's basically almost nobody here, but there are 500 people here now. Most of them snowbirds like Marlene and me who've come in for the high season in Florida.
Amen. Well, you're streaming, obviously. Your background there's really pretty. You didn't have that last year, did you?
No. Well, we didn't have the park model last year.
That's right.
Yeah. This is the first winter we spent in Florida. And I've got the feeling, and I think Marlene agrees, it's going to be the first of many winters we're going to be spending here in Florida.
Amen. All right, you're listening to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. And Dr. Frank Turek is on with us this week, host of I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. That's the name of his show. Heard weekends right here on American Family Radio, Saturdays at 9 o'clock Central Time and Sundays at 4 o'clock Central Time right here on American Family Radio. How you doing, Frank?
I'm just swell. How are you guys?
Doing well. You're doing swell, and we're doing well.
It's like a Happy New Year. Like what date can you stop saying that? I haven't talked to you guys since the New Year. So.
Oh yeah, Happy New. No, you can wish us a Happy New Year. It's the 13th. Resolutions are broken now
that's right.
by the vast majority of Americans.
Too bad there's too many people who have already signed up for Planet Fitness and they're not using it.
Now that's bad. If you got a membership to a gym and you don't go and you quit by the end of August, you just really need to give that Christmas gift back to whoever gave it to you.
You know, my friend Erwin Lutzer said that. He's 84 now. He said, I went to my doctor and he said, look, if you start working out and you work out for 6 straight weeks, you can add 15 years to your life. And he said, I did that. And my doctor's right, because after 6 weeks, I already feel 15 years older.
Bada boom. Bada boom. All right, Frank, what have you been doing recently? We haven't checked in on you recently.
Well, I've been resting because had a lot of travel at the end of last year, as you know, and we're about to go back out and do some more this coming week. But
were you going to which colleges?
In February, we got a couple of churches prior to that, but in February we'll be going to Elon, we'll be going to NC State, we'll be going to North Florida, and several others. We got like 15 scheduled for this semester. So,
for those who don't know, Frank goes around the country to college campuses and lectures and holds talks and answers questions, much like Charlie Kirk did. Frank actually started that. Where did you learn that idea of going to college campuses from, or did that originate with you?
Oh no, you know who did that in the modern era the most was Josh McDowell.
Okay.
Years ago. And then there's always been debates on college campuses, and people like Cliff Kineckley, I don't know if you know who Cliff is, but he's been doing it since the 80s. I started doing it in the early 2000s, and for about 20 years. All right,
what's the number one? What's the number? I've asked you this before, I think. When you go to a college campus and you do, I've seen your setup before. You do a give and take. You do a talk, and then you do a give and take with the audience. You have there's a microphone. Kids can come up and students can come up and ask you anything they want to ask you about God and religion or morality, spirituality. What is the number one thing they think? Hey, see this guy on stage? Watch this. I'm gonna get him with. I got a gotcha question that he can't answer. What's the number one question?
Well, in recent years, the top 3 questions have to do with morality, and morality.
Okay. Why is that?
In other words, they're normally questions about LGBTQ. There are questions about, if God, why evil? There's questions about, did God promote slavery or kill people in the Old Testament, or these kinds of questions. Those are the biggies that people have. Although since Charlie was murdered, the questions have shifted a little bit. There's less skepticism and more people going, how do I get my friends to become Christians? So,
what's the morality question? They want to know.
They basically want to know, how is Jesus going to affect my life, and why doesn't Jesus agree with me on everything morally? And can I keep sleeping with my girlfriend and be a Christian? That's why I ask people, if Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? No. Why not? It's not a head problem. It's not like there's not evidence for this. They don't want it to be true. They don't want there to be a God because they want to be God over their own lives. And so people are mostly not on a truth quest, we're on a happiness quest. We're just going to believe whatever we think is going to make us happy. And as you know, the problem is you can make yourself happy over the short term being really selfish and doing whatever you want to do. But over the long term, it's a disaster. And everyone who's over 40 listening to us right now knows what I'm talking about, because many of us have tried it ourselves, right? I'm gonna live life my way. No, you're not. If you turn into a total me monster, first of all, what's that going to do to your relationships? Who's going to put up with that? If you live for yourself all the time, I tell you what's going to happen eventually. If you follow every impulse, you're going to wind up divorced, addicted, broken, alone, and probably prematurely dead.
Hey, Frank, this is Wesley
Other
here.
than that, everything's good. Though,
Everything's fine.
right?
Yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Wesley here. I'm 36 years old. Back when I was in college, which would have been about 15 years or so ago, for me during that time, those 3 or 4 years when I was at Mississippi State, I remember going to all of the BSUs and all the college campus ministries there. One of the most debated topics amongst my generation at that time was Christians' involvement in politics or government. And I remember that being a big issue. And your ministry and Keep Believing and Stephen McDowell and a lot of people, Alex McFarland, had a huge influence on my life, helping me work through that. But I don't see that as being much of, I mean, obviously it's always will be a debate in the Christian community, but I don't see that as being top 3. Or so is that just me, or have you noticed that, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I noticed the people that don't want Christians involved in politics are all on the left, right?
Yeah, that's
They don't
right.
want Christians involved in politics so their influence can win the day.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
I think everybody ought to be involved in politics. If you care about your country and you care about your neighbor, you ought to be involved in politics. And as Christians, we have to care. The 2 main reasons we have to care is because I always hear, pastors saying, "Oh, I just preach the gospel." And I say to them, I don't get involved in politics. I just preach the gospel. I guess you don't think the gospel is very important then. What do you mean? Because politics affects your ability to preach and live the gospel.
Yeah, that's
If
right.
you don't think so, go to Iran right now. There's no First Baptist Church of Tehran. There's no Calvary Chapel of Mecca, right? They don't allow it politically. The church is not thriving in North Korea because politically they persecute it. And so that's the main reason we need to be involved in politics. The second reason is because God created the institution of the government, and he said the government's role is to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil. And if we're to love people, we should put laws in place that protect them from evil rather than allow, say, babies to be murdered, children to be mutilated, children to be sex trafficked across an open border, drugs flowing into the country, illegal people coming into the country who then commit crimes that ICE is trying to get these people out, and we're supposed to say, oh, that would be wrong to move criminals out of the country. Where do people come up with this nonsense?
Yeah.
Talking to Dr. Frank Turek. By the way, Frank, what's your website?
Crossexamined.org, cross-examined with a D on the end of it, .org.
You mentioned ICE, and that's a big story in the news, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Is that the proper name?
I think they ought to add in, they call it the National Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement Agency. Then they'd be called NICE, and nobody could be against NICE.
Let me ask you this. Why, I'm asking maybe a question people go, duh, you don't know the answer to that? Well, I think I do, but I want to ask you anyway. Okay, ICE is a federal agency. They've been around for a long, long time, Democrat and Republican administrations. Their job is to enforce federal immigration law, and yet they're being opposed by people on the political left, vocally, politically, and in the case of the woman who was shot and killed in Minneapolis, physically. What I know you just said, what are these people thinking? And you were talking about these folks. Why the aggressive opposition to ICE? Because it only heightens tensions between when ICE is trying to do their job to arrest and detain and deport people who are here illegally, and they're basically going after criminals who are here illegally. Why do these folks want these criminals to stay, or why are they physically? Why are these left-wing folks physically opposing ICE, for example?
Well, you want the spiritual answer or the psychological answer?
I want both. And then
the
Ray can
spiritual
comment.
answer is notice that Satan attacks the 3 main institutions God has created: the family, marriage, the family, government, and the church. Those are the 3 main points that Satan rebels against God. So what could be more effective for Satan than to take down the family, take down the government, and take down the church? So when you take down a government that is trying to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil, which is what the government's supposed to do, that's why God established it, that's what Romans 13 talks about. When you try and prevent the government from punishing wrongdoers, then you're doing exactly the opposite of what God wants you to do. You're rebelling against a legitimate authority. Now, I will say this, that when you first heard that ICE shot somebody, as Christians, the first thing we ought to be thinking of is not who's right and wrong, but man, that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Right? If we immediately jump to conclusions and say, well, ICE must have been right, or the opposite could be true as well, where you go, oh, well, this protester had it coming. And immediately, if you don't know the facts, you're not really seeking truth. What you're trying to be an activist for a cause.
Yeah.
And so right now, as I look at all the video and everything we've seen, I have no idea what the intention of Renee Good was when she tried to drive away. I don't know if she was trying to run over the guy or trying to just get around him. I have no idea. It seems like, if I had to guess, I would say she was trying to go around him, like get away. You know, that's what her partner said. Drive, baby, drive, right? I don't think she was trying to run over him. However, that doesn't matter when it comes to law enforcement. Law enforcement has to make a split-second decision, and that is, am I immediately in danger? Is this woman trying to use her car as a weapon, maybe not just against me, but against others? I need to neutralize the threat. If that's what the ICE agent thought, then the ICE agent is in the right, even though it would have been great if he hadn't have done that. But he didn't know in a split second what was going on. And you also know, by the way, this guy was also the victim of another car situation where he was dragged
with another
50,
illegal
100 yards about 6 months ago and had 34 stitches put in his leg. So that probably went into his calculus.
Yeah, let me just say this about that whole situation with this young woman who was shot and killed by the ICE agent. She put herself in a bad position.
She did.
And she put the ICE agents in a bad position. So remember, and when that happens, sometimes really bad things happen. Remember, this woman had her vehicle blocking the street. She had been participating in anti-ICE training. All right. This was an intentional effort. Let me go and hinder, get in the way of
illegally.
Let me go harass these ICE
illegally.
Agents. Yes. Wouldn't it all be illegal?
No, you can shout, yell, carry on. You can protest.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you can protest peacefully and legally. Okay, I got that. But she put her car in the middle of the road.
Right.
All right. So when you put your car in the middle of the road, that ticked off the ICE agents, and one of them was walking up to her car saying, "Get out." She didn't get out, so she didn't comply with the command of a federal law enforcement agency. When she's blocking the road, furthermore, the Minneapolis Police Department is not helping. So normally ICE would have said, okay, the Minneapolis police, they can handle this situation because the woman is obstructing traffic. She needs to be arrested, okay? But Minneapolis police are nowhere to be found. So that leaves the ICE agents dealing with this woman herself, by themselves. And they're walking up to the car, telling her to get out. She doesn't get out. Then her quote wife is filming this, taunting the ICE agents. They're just being smart alecks to them all along. And then the wife tells her lover, is that what you call it? I don't know, to drive, baby, drive. Yeah. And that's when the woman runs into the ICE officer. I don't know if she was trying to run over him intentionally or not, but when you put yourself in a bad position and then you do something like drive, baby, drive, and then you pull off, well, that doesn't, as you say, the ICE agent doesn't know that she's maybe not intentionally trying to run over him. The fact is the car's coming at him. and it coming at him because she had been in the middle of the road trying to interfere with ICE, the ICE agent's work.
At least 2 people that were experts brought on Fox that afternoon, Friday afternoon, said what you just said. That it literally backed up his defense and ICE going forward when you saw the body cam video.
Hey, Ray, let's wrap this topic up. What do you think about what Frank's talked about, what we're discussing here?
Okay. In the bigger picture, and Frank, I got a question for you here coming out of this. Before we got into the specific thing that happened up in Minnesota, you talked about Satan's attempt to destroy the family, the church, and government. And when you said that, I thought to myself, really, this is a form of spiritual warfare. I'm not talking about a particular event, but if we think, and I think you're entirely right, thinking about Ephesians 6, that this is warfare between Satan and human government, that it ought to call for the church. It seems to me we have many responsibilities here, but one thing we can do, we ought to be on our knees praying. Franklin Graham has called for tomorrow to be a day of prayer, right?
Yep.
Because of the situation here in America, and I'd like you to comment on what is going on in our country as spiritual warfare and how the church ought to be responding.
Well, just like you say, and Franklin said, Ray, I think prayer is essential, and also pointing out that this kind of attack, if you look at it and get the details of it, you realize it's an attack on the 3 institutions that God has established: family, government, and the church. And we've seen this kind of spiritual warfare over and over again. Recently, back in August, that young man shot up that Catholic school up in Minneapolis. There's a lot going on in Minneapolis. And you remember what he had on his gun? Israel must die. Israel must go away. He wanted to kill children. He was being possessed by a demon, according to his journal. He was attacking Christian children. He was using the Lord's face as target practice, and he wanted Israel to go away. He was attacking the Lord, the lineage of the Lord, and the people of the Lord. And now with Charlie's murder, what does the scripture say about Satan? Satan is a murderer, a liar, a slanderer, and an accuser. We had a murder, and what have we had for 4 months since then? Conspiracy theory. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Candace Owens. Yeah, conspiracy theories that implicate innocent people with slander, with accusations, and with lies. And now we have entire governments, state governments, telling federal law enforcement, legitimate law enforcement who are removing criminals from their streets, they are saying, we're at war with you. The state government's at war with legitimate law enforcement trying to punish wrongdoers and protect innocent people from evil. Tim Walz and Governor Fry, whatever, Mayor Fry, whatever, they should resign in disgrace. They're doing exactly the opposite of what a federal or state, I should say, a state government official ought to be doing.
Yeah. All right. Frank Turek with us. Frank, Happy New Year.
On that cheery note, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. January 13th. So belated. I guess it's belated. It's the only time we use the word belated, right? When we say a belated happy birthday, a belated happy New Year. All right, Frank, take care. Talk to you later.
God bless you guys. See you.
All right, much more to talk about, especially what's going on in Iran when we get back from this break.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Jesus said, and we find it in Matthew, the 7th chapter, "For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few." You know, one thing a person learns early about life is that it wasn't meant to be easy. From the moment the baby leaves the protection of the mother's security, it begins to cry. And from that moment on, life never lets up on its demands on those who try to take it seriously. Now, basically, there are two attitudes one can take toward life. One is the take care of myself, don't care too much about the other person, don't get too involved attitude. And this is by far the most traveled road of life for the simple reason that it places no demands upon us that we don't want. We can do as we please or not do as we please. We're content just to live our lives out, patting ourselves on the back, telling ourselves we're doing all that we should be doing. But there's another attitude toward life. That attitude says life is a sacred trust given to us by the Eternal Father, and that it should be used for the benefit of Him and our fellow man. This way of living is very demanding. Very few are those who are willing to strive toward this life. It places demands upon us that we don't want, causes us to strive toward what the masses call the impossible. This is often a very lonely way of living, since those who have common goals are few in number. Many times we're tempted to give it up, to call it quits, to say with a carefree lot that it's an impossibility to live toward that high calling. We're tempted to lower our goals, tone down our plea, and think more about ourselves. But then we ultimately come back to this. Life isn't supposed to be easy. It is supposed to be a challenge. And the very moment we cease working toward that high calling, we begin to deteriorate into nothing but a self-satisfied, selfish human that joins the don't care crowd. When we get to the place where we're ready to throw in the towel and call it quits, what we really need is to know that what we're doing has some eternal, lasting significance to it. For as long as a person can believe that what he is doing has God's stamp of approval on it, he can face any obstacle that stands before him. But once he quits believing in his high calling, he's doomed to a life of selfishness. Sometimes the night gets dark, awful dark, and you begin to question whether or not you should forget that high calling. For your job becomes hard and you see very little chance of it getting any easier in the future. In times like that, the only thing that will sustain one is the knowledge that what he is doing has God's approval, and that his efforts will not be in vain, and that his God will gladly pour out his grace on those who need it. Life is easy only when we are selfish. It is hard when we choose the high road. And while it gets to be awful dark sometimes on the high road, we need to remember that daylight always follows darkness.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
However, as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things that God has prepared for those who love Him. 1 Corinthians 2:9.
American Family Radio.
This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio. Thanks for listening to AFR. Hey, this story with Iran is getting. We're going to tell you what's happening there and what President Trump has said about it. But before we do that, there's a conference that we wanted to make people aware of. A women's conference?
Yeah, we have a women's conference at the end of the month, January the 30th and 31st. AFA, the Ministry of AFA here, AFR, is hosting one by put on by Hannah's Heart, which is our weekend program that ministers to those who are struggling with infertility, or maybe they've are unable to, or maybe they've had a miscarriage, or just struggling with having kids and building a family. We have a radio program on the weekend called Hannah's Heart, and they are putting on their first ever conference. It's at the end of the month, January 30th through 31st. It's a day and a half. It's at Hope Church in Tupelo, Mississippi, here at the town of our headquarters, and we want to invite you there. All the information that you can find at afa.net/events. We also have a handful of other events on that page as well, but that's the one that's coming up. That's the next one that we have, next conference or event that we have.
It's a women's conference?
Yeah, yes, primarily women's conference.
Okay, when is it and how do they get more information on it?
Yeah, the date is January the 30th and 31st. It's a day and a half. It's an afternoon and a morning, and that is at Hope Church in Tupelo, Mississippi. You can register and find out more information about the speakers and the worship time and the fellowship and some of the things that the itinerary, by going to afa.net/events. We want to invite all those. If you have not struggled with infertility or growing your family, then you probably know somebody that has. And we want to we want to ask you to invite them on their behalf. It's very, very cost efficient. I think I'll get the price here in just a minute, but I think it's just like $20, $30. So like I said, it's a day and a half, and we want to invite you to be a part of that.
Chris, what's going on in Iran?
All right, that's a very good question. Something is happening, and I say that based on the fact that President Trump was today supposed to have talks with Iranian officials about their crackdown of protesters. People have been in the streets voicing their concerns about the economy and just basically the control that the Iranian regime has on the people there in Tehran.
They're killing them.
Yes, they are.
The Iranian government is killing these folks.
Yes, and they've turned the internet off to squash communication.
It's a major uprising.
It sure is.
In Iran.
Now, the angle with this is Trump has canceled today's meetings with Iranian officials, and he's now telling protesters, quote, help is on its way. Trump has several times himself and through people like Caroline Leavitt voiced concerns with how Tehran was treating the people there. And in this particular clip, this is from earlier today, Leavitt told reporters that Trump thinks diplomacy is the first option, but he's not afraid to use the military if and when necessary. Clip 1.
President Trump, as for him, he has always expressed that diplomacy is the first option, always has been, always will be. However, he is unafraid to use the lethal force and might of the United States military if and when he deems that necessary. And nobody knows that better than the Iranian regime.
That line there at the end is kind of a reference to the B-2 bombing of Iran's nuclear capabilities back in July.
Ray, what do you think about all this? Because in Iran, I mean, you're talking about I don't know how many people they have. 100 million? So I think Ray said 8. I mean, Ed told me yesterday. Seems like it's 80.
Over 90 million.
90 million people.
Wow.
That's a pretty big country, and this is they're in a very volatile state. Why does this matter to us, you think?
Well, this has to do with the peace and stability of the whole Middle East. How long ago was it? It wasn't that long ago when we sent the bombers over and basically destroyed their nuclear capabilities.
4 or 5 months ago, I think it was.
It was last summer.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now you've got terrible economic conditions in the country, and you've got a stranglehold by the mullahs at the top. And so finally, the people of Iran have taken to the streets and by the hundreds of thousands turning against their own regime, the regime that has them down. And thousands have been shot and killed. And I think President Trump drew a line in the sand and said, if you don't stop, and the government basically ignored him. So if we've learned anything, given what happened in Venezuela, I think don't you think we're going to see some kind of action against Iran in the next few days?
The United States government has also told Americans living in Iran, and I didn't know there were any, but there are, to get out.
Yeah.
And that usually means something's imminent. Some kind of military strike is going to be imminent. And I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this because I want the people of Iran who want freedom and want to get the boot off their neck from the religious Muslim mullahs there, the Ayatollah Khomeini and the Sharia law and all that. But at the same time, I don't want the United States to get involved in a war that, you know what I'm saying, a foreign war where we're using our troops to boots on the ground.
Look,
go ahead.
Look, no one wants to see Again, the 82nd Airborne coming
right.
in. Nobody wants to see the Marines.
And I don't think we will. Do you? I don't think we will.
I think there's zero chance of that. Iran would not be an easy country to conquer by putting boots on the ground because it is vast. And we know about Tehran, but Iran is compared to Israel, how many times bigger is Iran than Israel, just in terms of landmass? So it's many, many times bigger.
I can somewhat answer that question. So Israel is roughly the size of New Jersey, whereas Iran is comparable in size to Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what I also wonder here is in a revolution like we're seeing right now in real time in Iran, you wonder about the people that are charged with enforcing the dictates of the religious mullahs, that rule the country, because they're probably sons and daughters, if you will, of the people in the streets that are rebelling. So you wonder, is there a tipping point where it may go back against those in the religious leaders who are oppressing the people of Iran and controlling everything and have basically a dictatorship going on? You understand what I'm saying? That's a big question mark when that might.
Well, it seems a tipping point that would cause the government to fall.
Yes, to topple. Yeah.
Oh, clearly, there is such a point, and clearly we're not far from that. Else, why would the government be so harsh in its reaction?
Yeah, because they're talking about public executions now,
right,
to intimidate the people.
At first, the government was talking about protesters. Now they're calling them terrorists. Well, that's what you do when you get ready to kill a vast number of people.
Right,
so there is a tipping point. The government thinks the rulers over there. I'm trying to think who
the mullahs.
The mullahs, yeah. They know that if this goes on much longer, the government and the whole apparatus over there is going to fall. The people are going to get their country back, and they're willing to kill thousands of their own people to stay in power, which is what totalitarians have done since the beginning of time.
Okay, so here's what President Trump is getting directly involved in this. He issued a statement or did a True Social post or something, or said this at a press conference. I'm not sure. I've got the New York Post story here. He said, Iranian patriots, keep protesting. This is all in caps. Keep protesting. Take over your institutions.
Yeah.
I know he said on True Social, that's his version of Twitter. Mm-hmm. He said, save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way. MIGA. Just MIGA means make Iran great again.
Oh,
that's
gosh.
He said MIGA. So I'm saying this has the direct attention of President Trump right now, and he's indicating that he's ready to use U.S. military strikes in some form or fashion to join the protesters. And I read an article
yesterday that said we have moved major assets into the region, similar to what we did just before the attack.
It was Venezuela.
On the nuclear field a few months ago. So I think all it waits for is for the president to nod his head and say, "Let's do it." And the bombs are going to fall, and the rockets are going to fly. And only you get the feeling this time they're going to go after the head of government itself.
You're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Wesley, Chris, and Ray, did y'all see where this? You've been flown on an airplane. You look out the window when you're at the gate, right, and you watch them loading baggage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On the plane, right.
Right.
And the guys are out there with the safety vest on, and they're loading bags on the plane.
And some of them are up inside, right?
Yes.
That's right. Well, yesterday. Where did this happen, Chris?
All right, this is an Air Canada flight, and I just posted
Toronto, right?
Yes, I just posted the link on our Today's Issues Facebook page. It says an Air Canada plane was taxiing towards the runway when a baggage handler could be heard yelling for help and banging from below as he became stuck in the cargo hold. Flight AC 1502 was taking off from Pearson Airport in Toronto on December before the doors of the cargo hold inadvertently closed, trapping the ground crew member. I'm laughing only because
it wasn't you.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm sure it was terrifying.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah. So this really happened. This is kind of like you talk about a bad day at work.
Yes.
Now this fella, fortunately, thank God, was not hurt.
True.
The people in the plane heard him banging on the whatever he's banging on, the shell of the plane, but down below, help, help, stop. And they stopped the plane, so he didn't take off because I doubt that's pressurized.
Yeah.
He would have died there. Most likely, he would have died. Now they do have pressurized parts of the plane underneath to carry animals. I know that happens, but in this case, so he is inside. It's a wonder the coworkers didn't see him.
That's true.
Or maybe they did. I don't know. But so so he's inside loading bags inside the belly of the plane.
Yes.
And the door shuts on him.
Yeah, a lot like the movie that comes to mind, the comedy of The Christmas Vacation, when he's in the attic and he's moving some things around, setting things up, and the mother-in-law walks through and sees the attic door open. He goes, well, that's kind of chilly. We need to get that closed. She closes it and it gets stuck in the attic.
Yeah.
Somebody walked by and said, "Oh, well,
I don't know how the door got. Yeah, I don't know how the door got shut to the I call it the belly of the plane. Yeah, but this guy, you talk about a terrifying moment when you realize they just shut the door. So fortunately, you would think, Ray, that maybe the noise of an airport is incredible, especially out on a tarmac with all the planes coming in and out, planes taking off and so forth. But thank God somebody heard him and was able to.
Yes.
So
I would imagine that union wants the airline now to have some sort of extra safety seminar type thing in their training manual.
Rule number one, how not to get caught in the belly of a plane while loading bags.
Let what happened to Dave not happen again. A travel blogger was on this flight, and she wrote in an Instagram post that it was the first time she'd ever experienced something like this.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I hope so. All right, you're listening to, thank God he's fine. That guy's fine.
Very true.
But I wonder how he felt when he went to work this morning. What does tomorrow hold? He's probably wondering too.
He's probably on the outside, the one throwing the back
Right,
in.
somebody else go inside.
If I had to guess, he's probably got PTO up until about Good Friday, based
personal
on
time off.
Something like that.
I wonder too if he, came in the front door with his lunch pail, and his wife said, "How'd your day at work go, honey?" Well.
You won't believe this.
You won't believe what happened to me today.
And are you sitting down?
Yeah.
I'm not making this
up.
up.
You do have good life insurance, right? Because my job's hazardous, evidently, and I didn't even know it. All right, what's your next story, Chris?
Well, this very well could have been the lead story had we not needed to mention the Iran stuff, which is developing, and AFN will continue to talk about it. The Supreme Court this morning began to hear arguments on two cases, one in Idaho, one in West Virginia, two cases that involve the issues of males and female sports. A lot of people do not want males to compete against females because it's a matter of fairness and safety, they say, but also a violation of a female athlete's Title IX rights. Title IX being something in the education laws that go back to 1972. Supporters of males and female sports say it's about inclusivity, and these males identify as female, and they should be able to compete against their quote-unquote peers. And the Supreme Court is hearing arguments about this today. Alliance Defending Freedom is co-counsel in these cases, meaning they are there to help represent female athletes, saying they should be able to compete only against males. One of the people at Alliance Defending Freedom is a lady named Kristen Wagner. We've had her on this show before, and Kristen talked to Fox about the issue of these cases. Clip 3.
The question before the court is whether states have the right to keep women's sports limited to women. The ACLU is challenging laws that blur the distinctions, the inherent biological distinctions between men and women. There's no amount of testosterone suppressants or puberty blockers that erase these inherent advantages. And we expect that a ruling by the court could impact other areas as well. But first of all, let's focus on what's happening in the athletic field and in the locker room. Women's rights to equal opportunity, privacy, and fairness.
A decision over this is not coming till June, probably.
Yeah, probably June when this announcement will be made. I think the common sense side wins here.
That's right. Yeah.
Probably 6-3, 7-2. Who knows?
It's winning everywhere else.
Oh yeah, but constitutionally, I think these justices are going to, because the conservatives have a majority on the Supreme Court, and they're going to say, and maybe even be joined by a liberal or two who believes in women's rights and women's fairness, because there's nothing more unfeminist, if that's the way we want to put it, than allow the unfairness of letting males play in females' athletics.
You know, what's interesting over this case is Ketanji Brown Jackson is participating amongst the other justices, and Ketanji Brown Jackson was the one that could not define a female, saying she wasn't a biologist.
Right.
And here she is presiding over this case.
So she's having a hearing where she doesn't even know what they're talking about. I say in jest, males or females.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. That will be it. But a lot of states have instituted laws protecting young ladies from males playing in their sport.
Yeah, it's about half the states now. So if the Supreme Court were to, Lord forbid, rule against Idaho and West Virginia, that means Mississippi's and Arkansas's and other states would have to
Yeah, I don't think they will, though. But anyway, we'll see. You're listening to Today's Issues, but that's a big hearing today before the United States Supreme Court. Next story, Chris.
Let's take a minute and talk about cell phone bans. This is something that's been trending. A number of states and cities have said, hey, no more cell phones in classes. It's distracting kids from learning. It's hurting the teachers. And
Yeah,
New
we're
Jersey,
talking about at school, not cell phone bans altogether.
Correct. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So New Jersey is the latest to join this list, which means more than about 1 million Americans are set to be banned from using cell phones under a new law. New Jersey has become the latest state to adopt a policy prohibiting students in public schools from using them, as well as smart devices during school hours, on school buses, and at school-sanctioned event. The governor there signed this bill into law, saying it's going to help students learn, it's going to help teachers teach.
So how many states does it say? What we're talking about, folks, here is there are some states that are passing laws. I guess you could do it on a school district by school district basis.
You could, and some do.
Yeah.
Okay. Where, but in this case, it's the state of New Jersey. That's why this is in the news. But some other states have already done this. True.
27, counting New Jersey.
Okay. So they've said that you can't no longer. I guess K through 12. I guess can't. I don't think a K should have a cell phone anyway. But you know what I'm saying. Where they can't bring, or maybe can they? How does this, Ray, do you know how this physically works? Do they put cell phones in a box?
Presumably, that's exactly what they do. They
you get to school and you put your cell phone in a box or a safe place until school's out, and then you can retrieve it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a great idea.
And it works.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, the opposite of that is what's been increasingly going on in the last several years, and that's that you're having kids with their iPhone out on their desk throughout class, and that's what they're trying to avoid. You know, I wouldn't imagine them going through everybody's bags. You know, I think if the phone was kept in the bag, it never came out.
Okay, so in some schools they might say, put your phone away and let them keep them themselves.
Could.
And they only get in trouble if they see them with it out.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
And that's that's the way it was years ago. But I know many high schools here, even in Mississippi, that they're up until recent days, they've allowed them to have their phone out on the desk while class is going on.
That seems crazy to me.
It does.
How distracting that would be.
Yeah.
That's like, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the reason you're seeing.
We're already having a problem across America with kids being educated anyway, for various and sundry reasons. And you had the distraction of a cell phone in a classroom. I can't imagine a teacher.
Correct. Now, I think we talked about this at the end of the year, but on December 26th, 2025, the New York Post reported New York City teachers discovered teens cannot read analog clocks because of cell phones. They realized after the cell phone ban that Johnny can't read the clock on the wall because he just whips his phone out and says, oh, it's 10:52.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, and that's happened in London as well.
That's sad. Can't read a clock on the wall. Huh.
But you could read a digital clock.
Right, yeah.
What has happened to our country? Can't read a clock on the wall? So anyway, so what do you think about this idea, Ray?
It's a wonderful idea. Wonderful. I'm 1,000%. in support
and
of
all teachers are probably applauding this. Do you have so you said how many states have initiated have passed laws saying no cell phones in schools?
Yeah, 27 counting New Jersey. That's the latest one.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Just that you can't have a classroom when your students are sitting there looking at their cell phones. I can't believe they let them sit on the desk like that, Wesley. Where do they? Or is that how it used to be handled?
No, I don't want to give names to high schools here and all that, but I've been made aware that has become the norm over the last 8 to 10 years is for the cell phone to be put out on the desk.
Also, you could use a cell phone to cheat on tests.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
I mean, kids could figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty easily.
Well, okay. Here's a technical question, I suppose. Aren't there some kids who sneak a cell phone in anyway? I mean, kids love to break rules, so they just keep it in their pocket.
Yeah, but that's what we were talking about earlier. You can have a school district that says, look, no, we don't want to see you can't put your cell phone up, keep it away. You only get in trouble if a teacher sees you out with it, for example.
Right.
As opposed to taking the phones up physically when you walk into the school to start your morning. But anyway, you're listening to today's Issues on American Family Radio. Excuse me, I got to text somebody here.
Hey, a couple years.
I got to send you this joke I just saw on
I'm
Twitter.
sorry, but it's not distracting to adults, right?
I got a meme here, Tim. You're going to love this.
Okay.
Hey, a couple years back, we covered a story where Chick-fil-A had a basket at each table for technology, and you'd put your technology in the basket, and that way, when you went to Chick-fil-A, they incentivized or encouraged conversation and fellowship. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, but that was we reported that back. Maybe they're still doing it.
Cell phone coops.
Yeah,
what
there's a story about that on the Chick-fil-A app.
Okay, I get it.
You get it?
Yeah.
Wow, that was 2016. I'm sure it had an impact on some people, but I mean, to Tim's point, I mean, kids today have cell phones. You can't. I mean, we have a news meeting and 3 people are on their phone while we're talking about.
We all are.
Yeah,
we all are. If your phone's out, and you get a ding, you're gonna look and see who the ding is from.
What's bad is in church, because you get you
turn it off in church.
Thank you.
What now?
Oh, I mean, well, if you're
up preaching,
you're up
Bible,
preaching. Yeah, and then
you're bringing God's word.
You're bringing God's word, and then people are checking their text.
Oh, if the phone starts to ring, somebody forgot to put it on silent.
Yes, I was at a baby dedication one time, a service that was having a baby dedication, and the grandmother from out of town was standing on the platform with her grandchild, smiling, beaming. Who wouldn't, right? It's a baby dedication.
Yeah.
And then her phone rang, and it was like music you wouldn't want to be airing on your phone in a church service at a baby dedication.
I'll tell you what is funny to watch if it doesn't happen to you. Okay, and that is when you're in a place like church and somebody's cell phone starts going off, and
can't get to it,
and they can't get to it.
Yeah.
They're trying to find it or desperately trying to turn it off.
Under pressure they can't. They forgot how to turn it off.
And the answering music for their cell phone is "Running with the Devil" by Van Halen.
That's it.
That's right.
It's just not a good. It's not a good.
That's right.
It's funny to watch, but everybody's embarrassed for it.
That's right. Yeah. That's
all right.
a topic for lunch, a Sunday lunch. Yeah.
We will be back after this short timeout. Chris, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.
This here show. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
It's been proven again and again and again. Bert Harper, the verification of the dates, the verification of the genealogies, it puts spiritual iron in my spiritual blood to know that we can depend upon the Word of God.
Exploring the Word, weekday afternoons at 3 Central on American Family Radio. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty P. President Trump said today he's canceled talks with Iranian officials amid a protest crackdown, telling Iranian citizens, quote, help is on the way. Trump did not offer any details about what help would entail, but it comes after the Republican president earlier this week said Iran wants to negotiate with Washington after his threat to strike the Islamic Republic that has killed more than 2,000, according to human rights monitors. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments about state bans on biological males playing on girls' sports teams. Kathleen Hartnett, the attorney for a biological male athlete, was asked a simple question by Justice Samuel Alito, but didn't give an answer.
Well, to pick up on the issue of discrimination on the basis of transgender status, let me go to some basics. Do you agree that a school may have separate teams for a category of students classified as boys and a category of students classified as girls?
Yes, Your Honor.
If it does that, then is it not necessary for there to be, for equal protection purposes, if that is challenged under the Equal Protection Clause, an understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition? For equal protection purposes, what does it mean to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
We do not have a definition for the court.
Anti-ICE protests are intensifying in Minneapolis following the ICE fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good last week when she attacked an ICE agent, as DHS deploys more agents to the area. Video of the shooting has become political flashpoint, with some saying it supports the government's position that the agent acted in self-defense, while protesters claim the footage shows federal agents murdering a woman. Borders Our Tom Homan says ICE agents are there in the Twin Cities for a reason.
We're there because the Biden administration let millions of illegal criminal aliens into the nation. We're there because we want to arrest these public safety threats that they're releasing to the street.
An immigration enforcement advocate thinks despite their radical positions on issues like the border, the Democrats have a real chance of taking control of the House this fall. Chad Groening has more.
With the midterm election season beginning to heat up, Democrats are maintaining an all-out assault against President Trump's efforts to deport illegal alien criminals, despite the fact that a majority of Americans support the president. Minneapolis has become ground zero for the resistance, as radical protesters have impeded immigration and customs enforcement operations, prompting the president to dispatch more federal agents to Minnesota. Mark Krikorian is executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies. He thinks the Democrats have come to believe their own press releases
about how the public is resisting evil orange man and all that kind of stuff. So to some degree, I think they believe that there's this undercurrent of opposition to Trump, when in fact, I think his polling numbers went up a little bit over the past couple of weeks. So it's not as though he's uniquely problematic and that everybody agrees with the Democrats, because they really are on the 20% side of a whole bunch of 80-20 issues.
But Krikorian says Democrats only have to take about 3 seats to gain majority in the House.
So that's entirely possible. And so I think a lot of the Democrats figure they want to move as far left as they can, thinking that they're going to win the majority almost regardless of what they say, at least the majority in the House. And then they can impeach Trump every afternoon at 4 o'clock, which is what they're going to do.
Krikorian says, unfortunately, if he had to bet, it would be that Democrats win control of the House. I'm Chad Groening.
Former President Bill Clinton has defied a congressional subpoena to appear for a closed-door deposition in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. The former president and his wife, Hillary Clinton, were both summoned to appear for a deposition. And now Republicans are threatening a criminal referral for Clinton. Committee Chair James Comer.
As a result of Bill Clinton not showing up for his lawful subpoena, which again was voted on unanimously by the committee in a bipartisan manner, we will move next week in the House Oversight Committee markup to hold former President Clinton in contempt of Congress.
There's more news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello everyone, Tim Wildmon here. We've got some great tours lined up in 2026. Washington, D.C., George Washington's Mount Vernon, Colonial Williamsburg, historic Jamestown, Boston, Massachusetts, and that greater area. So much to see and do in 2026. If you want information on any of these trips, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we'll see you on one of our tours in 2026.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to American Family Radio. Tim with Wesley and Ray. Ray's in Florida. We're in Mississippi. And Steve Jordahl's in studio with us, too. Here, Steve Paisley. Jordahl, good morning, Brother Steve.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Having a good day so far?
It's a good day here in Mississippi. A lot of stuff going on in the news, so it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose, as they say. But,
you know, I'm impressed, Steve, because you grew up in California. You lived in Madagascar?
Spent 5 or 6 years on the mission field with my folks.
And then with Focus on the Family in Colorado for how many years?
I was working for them for 10 years, lived 15 years in Colorado.
And you've been in Mississippi for how long?
10 years.
10 years. And you have learned the way many Mississippians do just to slur the word and make it shorter by calling it Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
Yeah.
And so many people do use that abbreviation. They just skip some of the SSI, the second one. And
the other thing I say is New Orleans or Louisiana.
Louisiana.
For some reason, Louisiana doesn't come out right.
Gotcha.
He has mentioned, though, one of his favorite things about Mississippi is the summertime mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah.
You love those, do you, Steve?
I miss them growing up. They weren't in Colorado at all. So.
Fellowshipping with the mosquitoes?
Yeah, that's right. My favorite pets. I named
them. For whatever reason, that's the first thing that came to mind following your history of where you've lived and then making your way to Mississippi. That's got to be one of the few things.
They don't have mosquitoes in Colorado?
Probably not.
Not at altitude, not where I was. I'm sure they exist.
I didn't know mosquitoes were affected by altitude.
Well, there was not a mosquito problem in Colorado Springs. I did not notice one, and I did not hear of anybody having problems with mosquitoes.
So do you trade mosquitoes for grizzly bears?
And mountain lions.
And mountain lions.
Yeah.
Is that what you have to watch out for mountain lions?
Yeah. Not in the city, but a lot
drive
of houses.
up into the mountains.
If you get up close to the mountains, a lot of mountain lions up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same mountain lions known as cougars. Other places.
Yeah.
Same animal.
Ray, you ever confronted a wild animal like that? A mosquito?
You mean like a mountain lion?
A mountain lion,
no,
something similar?
Only on the Nat Geo channel. You know, that's about as.
How close have you been in the wild to a creature that could do you harm? Besides the little
that you know of.
Yeah.
Oh, I was about 15 feet away from a 8-foot alligator down here in Florida about 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
Is that
you
close?
mean right there around where you're living?
No, right on the property, right here on the property at Word of Life. Yeah.
So, but you got little dogs, right? One or two.
My dog was not with me, or my dog would not be with me.
Right.
Wow. What, did you walk out to get the mail and there's an 8-foot alligator out there?
Well,
how'd that happen?
There are 500 acres here at Word of Life, Florida, right? And only about, I'm just guessing, only about 100 or 125 acres of it is fully developed. So there's like 300 acres that's marshy swampland. In fact, they call part of it the swamp. Well, there's a youth camp here, and behind the youth camp, there's a, what do you call it? A paintball. There's a paintball place, and they built it out in the swamp, which just makes it great. I mean, it's, you go out there and you're in the middle of the swamp and you're shooting the paintballs, and the kids love it, and it's great. But there's a trail out there, and people had told me they say there are 200 plus alligators here on the property because it's Florida, right? And there's water, there's lakes on the property, so there's alligators down here. But I was out on my golf cart exploring, and I was on the little path that goes out to the paintball place. I'm going down there, minding my own business, and all of a sudden, 15 feet away, there's a rustle in the grass and the slapping of a tail, and it's an alligator. and it turned toward me and did the thing where it opens its mouth and shows its teeth. So I said 8 feet. It's probably more like 35 feet, or maybe 50 feet,
Right. It was 35 feet, and then it was 50 feet, and then it was 100 feet pretty
There's
quick.
100 feet. And then 100 feet.
Hey,
and
were
so-
you where you could turn around? Did you turn around?
No, I was not, because it's a narrow path. All I could do was go forward. I hit the gas on the golf cart, which is just,
Right,
it's
sure.
all electric. I'm puttering on down there.
man.
And I was making a video for my Advent series out there in the swamp again, the background. And when I look at that Advent video I made, probably nobody else could tell, but I was sweating a little bit extra because to get back to our place, I had to go right back where the alligator was. But by the time I got back there and looked around, either he wasn't there or he had hidden himself in the mud pretty well, and I just skedaddled. I didn't stick around.
Right. Just keep the gas foot to the floor and go.
Yeah, and
So
just
when are
keep
you going to
going.
release the behind the scenes of the Advent video series?
Now here is the rest of the story.
Yeah. That's
not a mountain lion.
Yeah,
That's out.
yeah.
Right.
That's Florida's version of a mountain lion would be an alligator.
I got a question for you there, Ray. What are acceptable losses for the Word of Life on the paintball course? In order to have a paintball course with the alligators, there's acceptable lot. If you just lose 1 or 2 kids a year, is it?
Oh,
that's
dark, Steve.
I am tempted to make a joke. I will not do that.
Yeah.
There's never been in the 36 years
loss of life.
There's never been a bad encounter between humans and alligators.
Leave the alligators alone; they'll leave you alone.
They're more scared of you than you are of them, said someone who's never faced an alligator.
Just keep your distance, friends.
All right, you're listening to today's issue's first story, Steve.
All right, Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, who has been very public with his battle for cancer, has passed away this morning, and his wife hosted his podcast. And he had a final message. Now, this is edited. It was about an 8-minute message. I've just got about 50 seconds of it.
The creator of Dilbert.
The creator of Dilbert. This is the stuff that's pertinent to our show. He had other things to say, but this is Scott Adams, cut 12.
Unfortunately, this
His
isn't
wife.
good news. Of course, he waited till just before the show started, but he's not with us right anymore. He has a final message that he wanted to say, so I'm going to try to read it. Many of my Christian friends have asked me to find Jesus before I go. I'm not a believer, but I have to admit the risk-reward calculation for doing so looks so attractive to me. So here I go. I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and look forward to spending an eternity with him. The part about me not being a believer should be quite quickly resolved if I wake up in heaven. I won't need any more convincing than that.
He said that the other day, too.
Yeah. And he said that in his own words, but his wife reiterated that. And Ray, I don't know. We always kind of interest ourselves in, was it legitimate? Did he know enough and everything? It's kind of an irrelevant conversation once someone is gone. But I remember something that who was the guy that we used to have on at noon here? The Scottish preacher.
Oh, Alistair Begg.
Yeah. Had a great talk about the thief on the cross. He says, gets to heaven. He says, what do you know about, repentance? What do you know about, the remission of sins and all this kind of stuff? He says, I don't know anything about that, but the guy on the cross in the middle said I could come.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So.
Well, go ahead, Ray.
Well, look, the great good news of the gospel is that all you have to do is turn with your heart and believe in Jesus. We're used to, in our circles, our conservative evangelical circles, we have a way in which it's done. You come forward, you're at the youth group, you're at youth camp, you're at you're on a retreat, and somebody comes and shows you Romans 3:23, Romans 6:23, Romans 5:8, Romans 10:13. I'm doing the Romans Road thing in my head right now, and then we lead you in a prayer sentence by sentence. Okay, I think that's wonderful, and that's the way a lot of people come to Christ. But the truth of the matter is there is no, quote, approved way. It's a matter of the heart. It's between the sinner and God. And the story of the woman, remember the woman with the issue of blood? What did it take to turn her life around? All she did was reach out and touch the hem of his garment, just the tiniest touch. And it seems to me, as I read the story, her faith even seems to be mixed with a bit of superstition there, if you want to call it that. If only I touch him, I'll be healed. She touched him, and she was healed. So, is Scott Adams did, quote, the normal way? There is no normal way except to say this: if you come to Jesus in sincere faith, he will not turn you away. Anyone who calls upon the name of the Lord, the Bible says, will be saved. And I accept it as simple truth that Scott Adams says, I am calling on the name of the Lord. He said in that statement, Steve, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Look forward to spending eternity with him. That statement alone is, quote, better than the words I said when I accepted Christ on June the 21st, 1969 at 5:15 p.m., sitting on the concrete steps outside my house in Russellville, Alabama. Having been raised in the church, having come under conviction, I prayed a simple prayer. And these are the words I blurted out. Jesus, if you are real, come into my life. Friends, that's not an approved evangelism explosion kind of prayer, right? You'll never see that kind of sentence used in evangelism training. Jesus, if you're real, come into my life, come into my heart. He was, he did, and I've never doubted it from that day until this. So let us say this. Do I expect to see Scott Adams in heaven? I certainly do. What happened in the moment of his death is between Scott Adams and the Lord, but he did say, I accepted Christ, and I expect to spend eternity with him. If so, I expect to meet Scott Adams in person someday in heaven.
Well, Scott Adams has passed away. He was the creator of the comic strip Dilbert, which, for people who remember what newspapers are, that was hugely popular for many years. I don't know, a couple decades.
Required reading it in the Silicon Valley in the 90s when I worked.
Is that right?
There. Yeah, oh yeah.
So that's what he was known for in the Dilbert character in the comic strips. So he's passed away today at age 68. You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Next story, Steve.
The left has been out of its mind with anger over the ICE raids in various cities. They are protesting, and it's now a matter of accepted dogma on the left that you cannot kick anybody out. ICE has no jurisdiction, all this kind of stuff. I'm wondering how sincere the Democrats are about this, because there was a time not that long ago when they had the exact opposite view. I want to play you a clip from a former congressman. His name is Luis Gutierrez. He was from Illinois. He served from 93 to 2019. This is a clip from 2014. He was he was in charge of immigration. I mean, he wasn't in charge, but he was on the committee that deals with immigration. And this is him defending Barack Obama for being the deporter-in-chief. Cut 11.
Here we have the last three presidents of the United States, Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama. Mr. Speaker, let's test our knowledge of how much or how little they have enforced the immigration laws of the United States during their term. Question 1. Which president deported a population slightly larger than the population of the entire state of Nebraska? With almost 2 million deported so far, Barack Obama has deported more people than live in the entire state of Nebraska. No one has deported more people. A star, first place, goes to Barack Obama. Question 2, who expanded immigration enforcement by local enforcement 100-fold? One of these presidents expanded the Secure Communities program for deporting immigrants who are booked into local jails from 31 jurisdictions in this nation to over 3,000. And who was that? Yes, President Barack Obama, another star.
That last is involving local law enforcement and helping ICE round up.
That's a Democrat bragging about Obama deporting people?
That is exactly.
Why is he doing that there?
Because that was they were tough on immigration back then. It was a popular thing to believe back then, before Donald Trump said it was
So your
good.
point is the Democrat Party has changed?
Just a little hypocritical on this thing. I think it's mostly because Donald Trump is doing it that they don't like it, not because, well, during the Biden administration,
Well,
they
I
opened
have
the border wide.
I have a more sinister view of this, and I mentioned it before. That is,
it has changed.
I think Joe Biden, while he was president, he just said no more borders, and so he allowed anybody and everybody. I mentioned this before, but I'm going to tell you what the motivation was: to pour into our country. So much so that the mayor of New York had to say, "Stop it! We can't take anymore." These people were traveling all the way to New York from the southern border, and so Biden just let everybody in. We know that millions and millions of people. I don't know, 15 million people or so came into our country. We don't even know who they were. We didn't know anything about them. Biden just said, "Y'all come." They came from around the world. Remember, there was a lot of Chinese nationals, people from the Middle East. It was unbelievable. And so Trump won in part because he said, "I'm shutting down the border. We have to have law and order. Our immigration laws have to be enforced." So I believe that Biden let all these people in because he wants them to become Democrat voters.
I don't doubt that at all.
That was the ultimate objective, was to make these folks, give them legal rights, give them citizenship ultimately, and then they'll turn into lifelong Democrat voters, and that'll be the end of the Republican Party as we know it. That was the objective. Because you scratch your head going, why doesn't a president like Biden, even though he's a Democrat, care about our borders at all?
Sovereignty of our country.
Why is he just letting people flood into our country? Well, he wanted to. First of all, many of the Democrats, not all of them, but many of the Democrats, they don't believe in borders.
Right.
They don't believe in them. So
their party's been hijacked.
They have been.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe in borders at all. So you wonder, why don't they care? Because they want it this way.
Right.
This is intentional. It's by design. It's not a mistake. Go ahead.
In addition to that, I think second to that is that they wanted just our country in chaos and division, and that's what it's called. I mean, you look at what ICE is having to do, and this is a side effect. Then you got mayors like Frey.
Yeah. So Democrats. Again, I'm not all Democrats. I wanted to make it sure, but the left wing Democrats, they wanted all these people to pour into the country, and these are the same people who are teaching people to go out and confront ICE. So they don't even want these people deported. Not even the bad, wicked ones who are child molesters or drug traffickers or human traffickers.
Those are the ones that they're currently arresting in Minneapolis.
Yes, but the these activists say, no, we don't even want these people deported.
Right.
We want these people to stay amongst us. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarro. But this is what's leading. So these ICE agents can't go out and do their job because the police departments in the cities aren't cooperating with them. So they're left to go out and basically physically fight these protesters.
Yep.
And you're gonna have some more bad things happen because these protesters are told, go out and confront ICE agents.
That's right.
Well, the ICE agents, they're trained to. They're at a heightened sense of. They're amped up.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Right. They're on alert.
They're on alert. That's a good way to put it. All right. You're listening to today's issues, but that was one of the big reasons that Trump won the presidency, is because people knew that he would shut down the border, which he has, restore law and order.
And surprisingly, actually go through with the process of deporting people, because I voted for him to do that, but I was skeptical how not that he didn't want to, but that it could actually be done at the rate that he's doing it.
Yeah, and these same people, these same lefties, I didn't see them saying anything or crying or being appalled when there was a string of women that were raped and killed by the illegal aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
They're not wearing their name on their shirt.
And nobody said
Lake and Riley and
there were several other ones that was around the country. And that, by the way, that kind of criminal activity goes on. It doesn't make national news all the time. But nobody was holding. You didn't see them holding rallies or for those people.
Yep.
Those victims.
They're making the criminals the victims.
Yeah.
Yep.
By number, let me just put a bow on this. By number, Donald Trump in his 2 terms has deported somewhere around between 1.4 and 2.4 million people.
Right.
Barack Obama, 3.1 million. He still holds the record.
Well, the other thing is that there is a self-deportation program that doesn't get a lot of attention that some people who are here illegally are taking advantage of, and that is where the United States federal government pays them to leave.
That's right.
To go back to their homeland.
They get back in line then.
They pay their travel and give them some money to go back to their homeland. All right, your next story, Steve.
All right, the Secretary of Treasury is being very deliberate about his investigation into the Somali, into the left and their practices.
What's his name?
Scott Bessent.
He's the Secretary of Treasury?
He's the Secretary of Treasury. And what the Democrats are doing, what Antifa and these people are doing is illegal. And he is quietly going about the business of following the money, is what he says. Cut 10.
When you see these protesters, someone is financing them. There are safe houses that when you see the 300 people with the same laser that they're using to blind DHS agents in courthouses in Portland, someone bought those lasers. And again, what we do is follow the money, just like we followed it with the mafia, just like we follow it with the drug cartels. And we will find out who's done this. I announced today that we are going to put in effect a whistleblower program. And my sense is that the rats will turn on each other. That, as I believe you reported or someone talked about in the roundtable today, one of the Somali fraudsters tried to bribe a juror with $120,000. Well, it turned out she'd been given $200,000 to bribe the juror, and she skimmed $80,000. Like it's like the scorpion; it's in their nature.
Honor among thieves.
Wow. Well, by the way, Obama may have deported a lot of people. He was the one who brought all the Somalis over to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, during a civil war in Somalia, and Donald Trump is ending the visa program that brought them in, the temporary what's it called?
That's kind of interesting because I would like to maybe sometime do a study, a little bit of a research on that, because I think what if Obama's intention was to bring those people over or drop them in the middle of a purple state and have them all be Democrats, which would swing the state to being blue on most occasions. They're not all still not. Minnesota's still purple.
Yeah.
And that is to say they have a few Republicans voted statewide.
Temporary protected status is what I was looking for.
Yeah, but to drop all those Somalis bring them over here and put them in Minnesota. All right, we are out of time. We thank you for yours. By the way, Ray, appreciate it. Appreciate you being on today, brother.
Thank you, Tim.
Wesley?
I enjoyed it.
Steve?
My pleasure.
My thanks to Chris Woodward and Brent Creeley, our producer, Cole Green, our videographer, and Dr. Frank Turek, who was on with us last hour as well. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday and keep listening to American Family Radio, and we will be back here tomorrow.